And welcome. It is Sunday. It is Let's Talk Song. And it is Let's talk about one of my songs. Let's talk about one of the earliest songs. I think I had been playing guitar and been into music for not even a year. Learned these nice open chords. Drove home at night, and there were those clouds that were lit from the back from the moon. And it was all cool. So I'm like, hey, that's a song. And didn't really, know too much, just like we all do in the beginning. And it wouldn't be fair for me to talk about the song because I wrote it. So obviously I think it's like, the hottest shit in the world, which it wasn't. And that's one of the points. Nowadays, almost literally 30 fucking years later, I'm obviously, an extremely gifted and mind-blowing songwriter, as everyone would say. Lucky there's no one in the room that can contradict me.
What's your qualifications?
Well, my qualifications are I have cool shirts. So obviously there is someone in the room who will take the song apart and make me cry.
Oh yeah, I'm looking forward to it very much.
Great. So we're going to start with listening to the song. And for that, we can go to the super source and actually just play the song. Damn it. Look who's here. My cohort.
Yes. Cohort, co-host. Call him if you need some destruction of self-esteem.
So we're going to play Clouds in the Night.
Have you ever seen clouds in the night? Just like castles burning in the air. Oh, burning in the air. It happens when heaven and hell unite to make a place worth living for. To make a place worth living for. Clouds in the night make you think about yourself. Clouds in the night make you feel like you never felt. They're just clouds in the night. Stop pretending you are strong. Stop pretending you are clouds in the night. You can confess that you were wrong. Oh yeah, you can confess that you were wrong. Have you ever heard the magic in thy words? Just like waves that find their masters, find their masters. But when they fall to hit the ground, they stay unheard, break not their soul. They stay unheard, break not their soul. Clouds in the night make you think about yourself. Clouds in the night make you feel like you never felt. They're just clouds in the night. Stop pretending you are strong. Stop pretending you are clouds in the night. You can confess that you were wrong. Oh yeah, you can confess that you were wrong. Have you ever seen? Have you ever seen clouds in the night? Clouds in the night, just like castles burning in the air. In the air. It happens when heaven and hell unite to make a place worth living for. To make a place living for. Clouds in the night make you think about yourself. Clouds in the night make you feel like you never felt. They're just clouds in the night. Stop pretending you are strong. Stop pretending you are clouds in the night. You can confess that you were wrong. Oh yeah, you can confess that you were wrong.
Oh yeah. Where to start?
I mean, really, you don't have to really go anywhere. I mean, brilliance is all over this gem of a tune.
No.
Hey, let me have it. Come on. But okay, it's over 30 years ago, and clearly English was. It was early. I mean, I don't know. Go ahead.
So much for the traditionalists that say stuff like, everything was better back then. No, it wasn't. Look at Clouds in the Night.
Oh, God.
Now, let's take a look at, I'd say the lyrics first. No, let's take a look at the layout of the song first. So, the different parts. We've got intro, we've got verse, we've got part we don't know where to put, and then we've got the Clouds in the Night chorus.
Part where you don't know where to put. It's called a transitional bridge. It's called a pre-chorus.
Yeah, let's look at the functions of a transitional bridge in just a minute and see how many of those were actually applied.
All of them.
The Clouds in the Night chorus, let's just call it a chorus, is the last bit before everything repeats. So we've got something like an interlude, verse 2, part we don't know where to put, and chorus. Then we've got a lengthy instrumental section. There you go. And then we have got repetition of verse 1, part we don't know where to put 1, and chorus. Sometimes lines repeat. So this is the layout. Now, what I must say about the verse is that I would have liked the verse to repeat, because you establish a melodic rhythm that is cool in its own right, but doesn't get repeated, which is a pity. So it's, have you ever seen clouds in the night? What is it? I don't know what the melody is actually.
Have you ever
seen? No. Can you play it again?
Have you ever seen clouds in the
Clouds in the night. And then it's just like castles burning in the air. Right?
repetition there? Beautiful.
I need a repetition there. What is it?
Have you ever seen?
Have you ever seen? Have you ever seen clouds in the night? Just like castles burning in the air. Da-da-da-da-da. Bam, bam. You can do secondary dominant, which is this one. We haven't talked about the chorus yet. We can do that in just a minute. Let's just say that I like the melodic rhythm, and it's a pity that it doesn't get repeated in the verse. Instead, it's... It happens whenever no. It happens whenever night. Right? I don't know. What are the chords? To make a blaze. To make a blaze. Worth living for. Right? Yeah, I don't really understand that part, but we are going to talk about this in a second.
Obviously, the guy's English was pretty damn poor, and he sang blaze, place with a B. Trust me, tried to coach him while we recorded it, which by the way was on tape, so it was one take or nothing. And he wouldn't sing place.
Let's just say that I heard this song before we started shooting this for the first time in my life. And by the end of the second chorus, when the instrumental section started, I said to Henning, well, this is a poor attempt at mimicking Meatloaf. And he was kind of honored because this was what they were aiming at. Now, the problem is that everything before that is not really Meatloaf. It's more, I don't know.
Good.
Mr. Big style or...
Well, yeah, thank you. Thank you.
It is the desperate attempt to kind of combine two worlds that... Well, let's just say they don't...
Actually, thank you. Why? What is that? That's To Be With You. And Clouds in the Night has completely unnecessary, stupid single note lines. With a flat 3. Is that a blues tune? No. It's got these single note lines. Why? Because, thank you, Rafa, one of the inspirations was Mr. Big, and they had exactly that single note kind of thing in there. Only that Paul Gilbert and the guys did it goodly. But yeah, I love when people actually figure out what the inspiration was. Of course, the piano solo and that's full on Bat Out of Hell 2, which came out at the time, which also tells you how old this is. But yeah. Mr. Big, thank you. That's where that came from. I shouldn't have done those lines, but obviously I tried to mimic a great band.
Yeah, know your inspirations. Maybe it's because I know Henning quite a bit. It was kind of two shots in the dark with the Meatloaf and the Mr. Big reference, both of which I heard in the song. And yeah, 2 hits, I'd say, in the dark. In the night, actually. The song is unnecessarily long for the little information that it actually includes. But I think you can kind of say that it is, because of the influences and especially because of the Meatloaf reference, supposed to have lengthy instrumental sections totally unrelated to anything before or after. Let's look at the lyrics for a while.
1 second. May I say in my defense about the length, having looked at other songs, that the intro, which is there and has a point and brings us into the open chord feel, is extremely short. I never actually hit those notes right because it was a stupid ovation that just didn't sound right. But it brings us into that open world. So it does, I think, Rafa may contradict me, but I think what an intro is supposed to do is get you into the feel of the song. If right after that, I all of a sudden did, then it wouldn't do its job. But I think that intro brings me into that light, airy, open chord feel. And it's pretty short and to the point, I might say. But what do I know?
I agree. In terms of atmosphere, it's a nice tune in into what comes next. Maybe harmonically, it presents an idea that isn't really present after that. Because it's...
A, I think, no, it's A, I think it's A bass note.
Ah, okay, so... I don't really know. A bass note, and what are the top chords?
It's A, and then with on top it's always the B and the E. So thirds. No, do A and C sharp. A B. Yeah.
It's okay, you can do this.
And with the A, of course, we are underlining the 4. Therefore, we're in Lydian, floaty. And what's more fucking floaty than clouds? Now back to Rafa. Prosody!
Oh, Prosody. It's working against him. Have you ever seen clouds in the night, just like castles burning in the air?
What a beautiful, beautiful metaphysical imagery.
What a beautiful, beautiful non-rhyme. That's what I say.
Don't look for rhymes here. That's no. I started rhyming 10 years later.
So the rhymes kind of get interesting when we enter the chorus, but before that, it's just, yeah, mayhem. What I have to say and admit is pretty cool is the phrasing of the individual words, because apparently the songwriter slash arranger slash performer knew the proper English pronunciation of the words, a thing that is not quite common with 16-year-old German school bands. Sometimes it seems a bit forced. So the lyrics were there, and then they had to kind of find their place within the rhythm, which makes repetition even less likely. So for example, the line, just like castles burning in the air, becomes just like waves that find their masters in the second verse, and thereby change the melodic rhythm a little bit. Also, a totally unnecessary use of Middle English.
Maybe not. I don't know.
In thy words.
Hey, I was young.
Another thing that kind of strikes me in the chorus is the strong consonants that make it unnecessarily aggressive in the lines or in the forms 3 and 4. So clouds in the night, stop pretending you are strong and you can confess that you were wrong. It's words that sound far more aggressive than their surroundings.
I also have no idea who should confess that they were wrong about whatever.
Probably the person that wanted to rhyme strong desperately.
Stop pretending you are strong. I have no idea what this is about. Nothing. I mean, obviously.
It's probably night terrors, right? A person driving home and kind of being afraid of the dark and...
No, it is literally about nothing. They are just words strung together that sounded nice, but Clouds in the Night is literally the only thing that was the inspiration. There's no story behind it. There's no drama. There's no relationship. I just liked the visual of Clouds in the Night. That's it. So it's completely constructed and it means nothing. The words mean nothing.
Yeah. And thereby go back to a lot of cliche rhymes every once in a while, like with strong and wrong. But okay.
May I point out, not in my defense, but just to give you an idea, no computer. I think.
What does that have to do with anything?
Wait a second. Maybe an Atari ST back then. I think that had a 24-track version of.
I don't think that
Series on it.
Mozart says, wait a minute, I didn't have a computer.
But Mozart also didn't have to rhyme. My point is, when it comes to rhyme, you now have rhymezone.com, you have rhyming dictionaries, you have the internet. No internet. So I didn't have help and had bad English. So any rhyme would have to come from my own brain. There was no help in terms of, nowadays you go on Rhymezone, and it's, as we show you in our course, by the way, with Rafa. So loads of different things you can do nowadays to find rhymes. The only rhymes I could find were in my basic English vocabulary that I had myself.
And it's rather natural to kind of rely on cliche rhymes then, because those are probably the rhymes that you heard in the songs.
It was limited vocabulary and cliche based on songs that I had heard.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so much for lyrics. Let's just quickly, before I forget it. The main problem with the song is something that we criticize very often when we listen to other songs, is that every section, or the melody in every section, starts after the one.
Oh, yes.
And
have you ever?
This is something, so apparently you knew about pickups a little bit, because some things like they're just before the clouds in the night is kind of a compensation for that. So you knew that something was missing there, but you didn't have the tools to properly address the issue. So
what's your problem with my tool? Moving on.
Grab a tissue. Every section starting after the one kind of makes you bored. And a cool way to kind of solve this problem would be to have a section that starts on the one, have a section that uses a pickup. Stuff that we recommend other songwriters as well, or to other songwriters as well.
And stuff that we're teaching in our brilliant songwriting course that will come out at some point.
Oh, I hope so.
By the way, now we've named it the Almost But Not Quite Complete Guide to Songwriting. It's going to be the name. It was just decided.
Also, quite and guide is an internal but imperfect rhyme. Let's talk chords. If you scroll down, Henning, I have written down something that this is verse, this is stuff I don't know where to put, and this is chorus. Yeah. All right. The verse is cool because let's look at chord functions for a little bit. It's one, tonic, 4, subdominant. Weird thing, secondary dominant, usually not in the key of E, but it's the dominant for E's dominant. So F sharp is the dominant for B major. Strangely, it doesn't go to B major right away, but kind of puts an A in between. So it's...
However, with the knowledge we now have, you can do a 2-5 going to another 2-5. And if we see the AB as a 4-5/2-5, you can replace that 4 with a 2. You could actually jump over that 2. And that is something that in jazzy things, and also, I think, isn't it also in Yesterday where they do that?
Could be, I don't remember.
And I mean, obviously, this is on like, Beatles level. I mean, come on.
My suggestion, talking about Beatles level, my suggestion is to get rid of one bass note, and this is the A, and make it a B already, an A over B, so that you have kind of symmetry in the bass movement. So you have move up a fourth, down a third, move up a fourth. And also in terms of chord functions, it would make a lot of sense to have a B sus before the actual B. So it could be. And if you don't want it as aggressive, you can also have. I think this is a bit more elegant than this one.
Fully agreed. That is a very, very cool idea. However, remember early guitar playing days?
Oh, sure.
Where it actually came out of having learned these open chords. So would I have been able to implement that? Because in our course, when we talk about writing on acoustic guitar, it's a very shape-driven instrument. So had I written this on piano, hell yes. I don't know if I would have had the foresight to do what Rafa just showed, but I'm obviously...
No, it's the second chord is an A instead of a B.
So I'm doing these with the B and the E up there open. So the question is, how would I have done this? So Rafa is saying this, which is way cool. Do the B and do the A. I would have never known that. I wouldn't, back in that day, in those days, this was not a chord for me. Now, of course, I see this and I know it's an A. It's an A9, A major 7, 9, all that. I know a little bit more about guitar, but I knew this shape because my guitar player showed me that shape. I might have even actually driven home from him in the middle of the night, seeing the clouds, and that's how they connected. And then I learned these. So this is how you would do that on guitar. Already the B. So. That's difficult. But you still have that E up there. Could I do B and E? That's kind of cool. Yeah, that is more elegant terror.
Mm-hmm.
I would have thought that Rafa knows something.
Maybe you can, to make it easier for the guitar player, you can also start with an easier sus voicing, which would be to directly land on the B, but instead have the G string one fret higher. Yeah, just like that. There you go.
Could I do... You could also...
Absolutely.
You could do that. That's possibly a little bit easier. Or you actually do a... But then you're really just doing sus.
Yeah, which you can do, which is okay.
But this is...
You like this one better, right?
It's just... It
adds to this open feel.
It fits
right?
the rest of
yeah.
Once you play all these chords, if you have one that's not doing this, like for example...
It's the odd one out, yeah.
That's the problem with if you have that open feel. Okay, thank you, Rafa.
Yeah, going back a little bit to layout and parts, a thing that is rather common among beginner bands is to kind of put in a placeholder bar in order to kind of reset the system and prepare for what's coming next. Especially when those parts kind of are struggling to have a relationship with each other. So this E chord, this E bar after the first verse is proof for that. Let's just play E until we all come back on the E, and then we can start the...
Because the parts weren't connecting the way that they were actually supposed to connect.
Yeah, and then we've got the pre-chorus question mark, question mark, question mark. And it's what are the lyrics? Can you scroll
And then
up
just
a little
repeat.
bit? Can you scroll up to the lyrics?
Something plays.
The blaze, yes, the blaze. It happens whenever I unite to make a place worth living for. To make a place worth living for.
Actually, I think we did it with two different phrases. Worth living, make a place worth living for. So it's for and worth. I mean, we played with the stressing.
Yeah. This is probably something I'd criticize because you don't say you make a place worth living for. You say you make a place worth living for.
And we never actually stress living. I think
Yeah.
I think it's for and worth, but never living.
It's stressed in all the wrong places.
Yes.
Yeah. My problem is the perfect resolution within the pre-chorus that doesn't lead anywhere. So we've got 4, 5, 1s at the end of the pre-chorus. Now, what motivation does that give us to continue listening? None at all.
I hate when you make good points.
Well, it's a feeling first, but now that we see the chords, it makes perfect sense that this pre-chorus doesn't lead us anywhere, because it's perfectly resolved. It would be another thing if you said to make a place worth living, da, 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 and go to the chorus directly after the B, which has a dominant function and therefore wants to go to another section. But if you have got the E at the end of a section, and it's actually at the end of every section, if we look carefully, then it's no real drive to move forward. An easy fix though. Change or get rid of the E at the end of every...
You're right. It resolves every time with the B to the E.
Yeah. Now, the chorus, and I think you can do it, but the chorus has a subdominant field, so it doesn't really open up. It's floaty, which is okay with Clouds in the Night.
Prosody.
And actually it's... Nice alternative melody in the third form. Stop pretending you were wrong. Clouds in the night, clouds in the night. Just confessing we were wrong, confessing we were wrong. And it's okay. The bass is rather busy. The bass jumps a lot. It's again.
That comes from the guitar.
Yeah, absolutely. So a bass player would probably suggest playing, for example, an E over G sharp. Maybe even... No. At least once in the chorus, because it's 3 times the same form.
Can you do B over F sharp?
Pardon?
B over F sharp and then F sharp minor.
You could do it, however, I think you want this.
You're losing a little bit of the movement, but
yeah.
it could be a nice variation for the second line, maybe.
Yeah, so especially if you repeat choruses and if you repeat forms within the chorus, it is a great idea to reharm every once in a while, or to give your bass player some leash so that he or she can actually figure out what more elegant ways of voice leading there would be. Because as a guitar player, you don't see those things. You see the first 3 or 4 frets on your fretboard and you don't think about voice leading. That being said, it's not the worst song I've ever heard. And it's got hooky elements. It's got nice lyric lines that make you think about stuff. It's Clouds in the Night is when heaven and hell unite to make a place worth living for. I don't understand it, but it's something.
You can't. It means nothing.
Something to think about. It's kind of frequently made. Wouldn't call them mistakes. Mistakes. Frequently made mistakes for beginner songwriters. For example, starting sections all after the one, ending sections perfectly resolved, adding unnecessarily long and harmonically not very relevant instrumental sections to pay tribute to Meatloaf.
It's called a solo. Get with the program.
The solo is, funnily enough, the solo is on a different chord progression. The solo is on a reverse or changed order axis of awesome, introducing the C sharp minor as a chord that hasn't played a big role before. It's an okay song. Heading off the past, you know the things that you have to change to make that song great and to kind of become a successful rock star.
Let's see, go here. Thank you. The point is, that was 30 years ago. And
that's my age.
and clearly, that could have been better. But actually, back then, it couldn't have been better. I didn't know better. It was shape-based. I didn't know that I played a secondary dominant and I didn't know any of this. Talk about can songwriting be learned? I think you have to have probably a basic feel for it. You have to probably feel song form a little bit. You have to have a basic feel for melody, but can it be improved by knowing harmony? Can it be improved by knowing lyric writing and patterns and training your pattern recognition? Can it be improved by looking at motif development of melodic ideas? If you're making these things conscious, I think you can be a better songwriter, because nowadays, I wouldn't have written this. I wouldn't have ended on an E every time. I wouldn't have started every section on the 2. These are things that now I instinctively wouldn't do because I consciously learned them. So the question is it all inspiration, and shouldn't this just be all creativity, and learning it's going to just make you not so good? I think you can absolutely get better at songwriting with a course like the almost but not quite complete guide to songwriting by Rafa and me.
And I think if you're perfectly honest with yourself and play a song just like this one, you will feel that something is missing and you will not be able to spot it. And I think if 30 years ago there had been a platform where you could send in your songs in order to get constructive feedback on those tiny tweaks that you have to kind of apply to make your song great, I guess Henning would have taken the opportunity.
I mean, just like you guys, when I take your songs apart, I would have, in my head, I wouldn't have written saying, you don't know what you're talking about.
After 30 years, you still seem deeply in love with the song and deeply pissed off every time that I say something that is kind of the truth.
For comedic relief. No, I totally know that the lyrics are bullshit. They're pretty words that mean nothing. I wouldn't do this now. Unless we actually write a song where we deliberately say, I just got to sound good, who cares? Everything that you said is fully correct. This could be a better song. I like the imagery of Clouds in the Night. And I think that the song, in parts, gets that feel across with the floatiness of the 4, but the lightness of the solo, and some of the words paint that picture, but I think it could be a much better painted picture. Okay, it's a stick figure drawing right now and not a Rembrandt. And I think nowadays,
can it become a Rembrandt? We're not 100%
I don't
sure.
think it can actually ever be that. But yeah, you can absolutely learn it. And what I know now, I didn't know back then, and that's why this song wasn't as good as something I might write now. I might write right now, And even now, I'm a better songwriter when I have someone like Rafa or Aaron or someone else in the room to play things off of, to say, no, try this. Okay, cool idea. And then you go bam, 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 back and forth. And then with combined knowledge and experience and melodic ideas, you get there. So let's just say it's freaking brilliant. Okay.
Don't change a thing.
Don't change a thing. It's amazing. Clouds in the Night, buy it now on Spotify. Thanks, Rafa, for hanging out in today's episode. He will be in the next episode as well when we're looking at a good friend of ours' song. See you then next Sunday. Oh, animals at the end.